Are you ready for some earth-shattering news that's shaking up the entire electric vehicle industry? Brace yourselves, because China, the powerhouse of rare earth metals, just dropped a bombshell export ban that's sending shockwaves through the EV market, leaving everyone reeling. Picture this: the EV market was already facing its fair share of challenges, from fires and charging disasters to sky-high prices and sluggish sales. And just when things couldn't get any worse, China pulls this move, defying even Joe Biden himself. Talk about a plot twist. But why is this export ban such a big deal, you ask? Well, buckle up, because we're about to break it down for you. You see, rare earth metals like lithium and nickel are the backbone of EV batteries. They're what make those electric dreams a reality. And guess who's been holding the reins on these crucial resources? That's right, China. With a whopping 35% of the world's reserves and over 80% of the global supply, China has been calling the shots in the EV game for years. But now, with this export ban, they're essentially cutting off the lifeblood of the entire industry, sending shockwaves through production lines and boardrooms worldwide. So why the sudden change of heart from China? Well, it's all part of a larger geopolitical chess match. You see, tensions between the US and China have been simmering for a while, and the US recently banned China's semiconductor supply. So, in classic tit-for-tat fashion, China retaliated by targeting the EV market, a move that could spell disaster for manufacturers and consumers alike. Now you might be wondering, what does this mean for the future of EVs? Are we witnessing the beginning of the end, or is there still hope on the horizon? Well, one thing's for sure. This latest twist in the EV saga is just the tip of the iceberg. EV makers are scrambling to find alternative sources, but not all news is bad. This major EV crash also means that car makers will be able to focus on gas cars again. Towards the end of this video, I'm going to tell you how you can save your hard-earned money and avoid this EV crash. So what's going to happen now? The ban's already making waves, with EV manufacturers hitting the panic button. The cost of these essential metals is skyrocketing, making EVs a whole lot pricier for the smaller fish in the EV pond. It's a nightmare scenario. EVs were already struggling on dealer lots, and with this new ban, sales are set to nosedive further, ruining Joe Biden's shady plan to force EVs on the common man. Yes, you heard that right. Shady. Despite dealers and automakers warning Joe Biden not to side with China, he's been rolling out strict emissions laws left and right, pushing companies into selling only EVs. Just last week, he did something that totally defied US interests. He vetoed a law aimed at keeping things local, specifically for those EV charging stations popping up everywhere. This law wanted to ensure that all the materials used to build these chargers, like steel and iron, were sourced from right here in the US. Sounds good, right? Keep jobs local, support American workers, all that jazz. But the law also stated that sticking to this Buy America rule could slow down getting these charging stations up and running, making them super slow and super expensive. So Biden is now using this as an excuse to again buy a lot of stuff from China to build these chargers, creating a double whammy effect. Not only are EVs facing a major crash due to the export ban, but Biden's decisions could also end up hurting American workers and taxpayers in the long run, as the country becomes increasingly reliant on Chinese imports for essential components of the EV infrastructure, potentially undermining domestic industries and economic stability. Okay, we get it. Chicken Little. The EV market is going to crash. But do me a favor and visit any dealer lot around the block. You'll be shocked to see the number of EVs already sitting at discounted rates over there. It isn't just an overnight crash caused by China. This is a long game that involves shipping dangerous EVs that have even killed many people out there. But more on that in a minute. Imagine walking into a car dealership and seeing rows upon rows of shiny new EVs just sitting there collecting dust. It's a strange sight considering we've been told EVs are the next big thing. Dealerships are practically swimming in unsold cars, with some brands reporting over 90 days worth of stock just hanging around. To put that into perspective, it's like having enough cars to last until next season without selling a single one. And those numbers, they're staggering, with a 5-6% increase in EV inventories compared to last year. I mean, come on, that's just bananas. Now you might be wondering why this is all happening. Well, buckle up because it's a bit of a roller coaster. First off, these high-tech marvels aren't cheap. Even with the price tags getting trimmed and the government waving tax incentives like magic wands, the average Joe and Jane are still giving EVs the bombastic side-eye. The average price for a new EV took a nosedive from around $65,900 to $50,683. But guess what? That's still a hefty chunk of change, more than your average gas guzzler. And it's not just the sticker price that's making folks hesitant. People are scratching their heads over the total cost of owning an EV. Think about it. Installing a home charger can set you back a couple of grand. Insurance premiums are through the roof, and don't get me started on the repair bills. There have been cases where people have had to pay as much as $50,000 just to fix a scratch on their EV battery. $50K for a scratch. Let that sink in. There have been countless cases where we've got subpar parts and poor quality materials from the Chinese, in which some cases even led to people losing their lives. Take Teslas, for instance. If you've ever sat in one, you will instantly notice one thing. The interior quality isn't that great. We're talking about huge panel gaps, rattling noises with parts, and loads of software glitches. It's like the Chinese dumped the worst of the worst onto us to meet a quota, and it was all fine until these subpar Teslas started catching fire and killing people. We've seen cases of Teslas catching fire, burning down whole houses, and in some cases, even trapping the owners inside and killing them. What's even worse is that Teslas are now dying out in the middle of the road due to cold weather, as people are finally starting to realize EVs are not meant to handle cold weather. But do you know what never freezes in cold weather? Gasoline. So how can the common Joe save himself from this market crash and avoid spending money on these overpriced cars? Well, here's the harsh truth. EVs are not the future, but a big scam meant to kill the middle class. Do not buy an EV right now until the charging grid is strong enough. Instead, put your money in cheaper gas cars, which are soon about to see an increase in MSRP because EVs are going to get costlier, and people will again come back running to buy the trusty old gas guzzlers. All in all, due to the export ban, the entire EV supply chain is on red alert. From the folks making the batteries to the ones crafting the electronic parts, everyone's feeling the heat. And let's not forget about us, the consumers. With production costs going up, you can bet your bottom dollar that we'll see those price hikes reflected in the sticker price next time we're eyeing an EV. Now here's where it gets really juicy. Some astute observers speculate that China is playing a much larger and strategic game, leveraging its dominance in rare earth metals as a geopolitical chess piece. It's as if they've positioned themselves to hold the entire EV industry at bay, controlling the pace and direction of the electric revolution. By monopolizing crucial resources, China essentially has the EV world in a checkmate position. The EV revolution is at a crossroads. EV supply is soon going to crash really hard, and when that does happen, companies will just be forced to go back to making trusty old diesel and cheaper gas cars that common people actually want. So, what do you think? Should the US rely on China for EV production? Is it a good idea to buy an EV right now? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.